Check this out. I'm so honored to be here at Claiborne Farm, storied Claiborne Farm, going all the way back to 1910. You look at almost any pedigree here in the United States and internationally too, you will see the stewardship of Claiborne. And I have the great honor also of sitting next to Equine Operations Manager Mary Ormsby. And who do we have right here?
So right here we have Elate, and we have Elate's 2023 Tapit colt.
Gosh, he is adorable. Now, Elate, I mean, over $2.6 million in earnings, multiple Grade 1 winners. She capped her career off with that gallant fourth place finish against the boys in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And also, one of the things I just find so special about her, she is a homebred for you all. She is also traces back to my favorite bluehead mare, La Troya, and that's Family 1X, and it's still relevant today, not only producing horses like her, but our current Kentucky Derby favorite, Forte.
Yeah, I think that she is kind of the testament to having a dedicated breeding operation. She shows kind of the long-standing Claiborne bloodlines and really just kind of a dedication to doing things the way that we've always done things. Her first foal was a Warfront filly. She's in training right now, really happy with how she's progressing. She kind of shows physically a little bit more of a Warfront filly. Her second was a Spitestown colt. They wanted to incorporate a little bit of his speed into her bloodline. And then, you know, they're kind of hitting all the powerhouse stallions right now, it seems like. So went with Tapit. And so, of course, the next choice for 23 mating for 24 full into Mischief. So she has a date later this week with him. So they're kind of just hitting all the powerhouse horses, seeing different types of horses that they can get.
Tapit, obviously prepotent sire. And how fun is it that he himself is son of Pulpit, another Claiborne horse, right? And he is by AP Indy Hall of Famer, Breeders' Cup Classic champion. Okay, we got a little scratch. I don't know if we got that on camera or not, but that was totally adorable. How big is Elate?
She's big.
I'm looking at the shoulder. I'm like,
I'm
hey.
5'10". She's standing downhill from me. She's everything of 17 hands. I mean, she's a big mare. She's a big long mare. She's a big powerful mare. She's just, I mean, she's an absolute stunning specimen of a horse.
If you had to say during her race career, what was the biggest thrill for you?
The Alabama.
Oh.
Watching her in the Alabama was just, I mean, she's just, I remember her as a foal. She was born and raised here, and just watching her progress is something really special. And I think even more special on top of that is watching her come back for her second career as a broodmare and be wildly successful at that as well. I think one of the things that's just real exciting about this mare in particular is just how naturally she took to motherhood. She just, you know, some mares, their first foal, maybe a little bit smaller, but her first foal was just, I mean, we were like, wow, that's a very nice maiden foal. She was a very nice mother. She took to her broodmare career just really naturally. She's the type of mare that if we could have 100 of them in our broodmare band, well, I mean, we'd be even more successful than we already are if we can be. But, you know, she makes the job easy. She makes breeding and raising foals easy because she's such a natural at it.
She's absolutely beautiful, and we are so excited about little man over here. He's coming to. Hi.
He's gonna make an
Does he have a
appearance.
barn nickname?
No, right now we just call him Elate 23. We don't really name them until later, so we just call them by their dam's name and then the year that they're born.
Well, he is.
But he's definitely Mr. Personality.
I love it.
Everybody, Ren Carruthers here for your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. Why was I showing that full Friday from 2023? Because the little baby featured there by Tapit out of Elate. Well, he's going to be making his debut on Saturday. Yeah, that stakes-studded card at Saratoga. And he's going to be debuting in race 6. His name is Stimulate. He's got post 8 being sent out by Bill Mott. And he's going to be ridden by my very special guest, Junior Alvarado. Hey, Junior.
Hello, Ren. Hello,
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well. So what can you tell me about Stimulate?
Stimulate. Doesn't look like that little baby anymore.
I know it went
Big,
great, right?
big. Yes, he grew up. He looked like beautiful animal, beautiful body twins. He's big but not too big. Um, I probably working maybe 4 times already. Been getting to know him. He's by Tapit, which that's probably why I work him so many times. We're trying to kind of teach him a little bit. He's mentally a little, hard
Yeah.
headed. So we've been working with him. We think if everything goes right, we think he's probably one of the best 2-year-old colt that we have in the barn, and we're expecting a good race out of him this coming Saturday. Doesn't mean he needs to win, but just we need to we've been teaching him since a horse, a couple times in the morning he just wants to go 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 go.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of teaching him how to kind of shut down a little bit, like take it
Just
easy the first
relax.
part and relax exactly, and then finish with a good run. And we've been a little successful the last few workouts with him, and we're very excited to see him run this Saturday.
Well, not only was I very intrigued seeing him entered just by virtue of having spent some time with him as a baby, and I will say he was Mr. Personality there. Meeting him in the field, he wasn't shy at all, wasn't scared of anything. Very friendly demeanor, but also just noticing because as we've discussed before, Bill Mott, he's not one of these trainers who has to win first out. And so he's fine with basically just gearing these horses up at their own pace. So I always take note whenever I see a Bill Mott firster with bullet drills on the tab, and he has multiple bullet drills. Were you aboard for any of those ones?
Yeah, I wasn't one of them, and like I say, we kind of find his way. We were trying to figure it out why he would just going, 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 and we're trying to see how we can get him to relax. And like I say, I think we've been successful
Yeah.
doing that right now in the morning. We have to see how that's gonna translate in the afternoon for Saturday. Hopefully if he does that, if he lets me like saddle him, he'll be very tough, like I say. But he's like I say, I mean, he's a beautiful looking colt. He's gray, kind of like dark gray right now. He changed color a little bit, but beautiful. Beautiful horse.
Sounds like it. Tamar says, "Who is the dam?" Well, if you missed the beginning, Stimulate's mommy is one of the most talented fillies we've seen in a while, and that is Elate. Elate was just this big, beautiful, talented mare for Bill Mott. She won over $2.6 million over the course of her career, including right there at Saratoga, winning the Alabama. So that's the mommy. And I just think it's so cool. Elate has such a huge fan base as it is. So people would already have their eyes on this baby. So obviously, apart from that 2-year-old, another 2-year-old of note is one that you just won the Skidmore Stakes aboard, and that is Bobrovsky. And I have the replay here. And this is the first time you've ever ridden him in a race. This was his third start, but first on turf, correct?
Yeah, it was first time turf, like I rode him first when he broke his maiden in the dirt, and he had a call in the stakes. So I picked up the mount, and he took the turf very well. So he was very impressive that day.
Yeah, and the thing is it makes a lot of sense. His paternal grandsire is More Than Ready, and even though More Than Ready had success on the dirt, he's sired some notable turf horses, especially when you think of the Breeders' Cup too, and Young Get, like More Than Real, for just one example. But Bobrovsky here, the 7 horse, just tracking the 3 monster. This horse looks like he was loaded the whole way.
Yeah, he was very good. I think they had a problem sometimes in the morning. He's very ranked, and same thing like I was saying about the baby. I guess when he left the gate, he wants just to go fast as he can. And I remember Tammy Dell's wife, which she was telling me, like, make sure, like, don't rush him out of there, and
Yeah.
don't grab the rein. If you grab the rein, he'll lock the bit, and then he will take off with you. So,
Try
he
to
broke
fight.
good. Yeah, he broke good. I kind of like got it to cover since the other horse was a little faster at the beginning. I never took a hold of him, and he definitely he relaxed beautifully. And when I turned from home, put him in the clear, that's when I probably grabbed the rein a little bit, and then he finished up very well.
Well, I noticed there that he didn't even change his lead until he sidled up alongside the other horse, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just think he's still kind of figuring it out. He's learning. He's only his third star. Some horses need a lot more than 5, 6, 7 star to start realizing what the job is supposed to look like.
Yeah. And what have you found when a horse switches surfaces like that? Are they sort of a little like, oh my gosh, I'm going full out with a field of, because it's different working a horse in the morning, obviously, than it is in the afternoon. And sometimes it's hard to get turf works into young horses because of
Yeah.
different regulations.
Yeah, just for me, I was just hoping he'll take the turf. I think when a horse has speed like he does, it's always a little easier. Even if they don't get a good hold of the turf, the
Mhm.
speed still will carry them. So that's what I was hoping. But he took the turf very well. He was very good. So I think he's a very talented horse who have won pretty impressive in the dirt, and now he did it in the turf.
Now, not to jump ahead, but are you allowed to keep him?
Yeah, I did. I did told Del Roma after the race, man. Now I gotta write him back. Like I ain't not getting off of this one. So he said he's all mine. So
How tricky is that? I always wonder about that with the chess playing with the jockeys, and when one, a jockey has to take off, so another jockey gets on and then has success with the horse.
yeah, I mean, I think as of right now, it will be up to me. I think Dal was pretty happy with the way he run for me in the turf, and like I said, unless I have to be out of town or somewhere else, that would be the only way I wouldn't be able to ride it. But as of right now, I mean, I should be able to keep them out.
Now, before we get to Saturday's card, let's talk a little bit about the fact that you're being totally awesome in coming on today. The reason we're doing it earlier is because you're actually at Parks. You're going to be riding there on the Smarty Jones card. You've got Ben Duke, who's going to be running. And hold on a second, I'm going to pull up my past performances so I have it in front of me. And you also have Table Flirt. Table Flirt's in the Catherine Sophia, and Ben Duke is in the Mare's Mile. Mare's Mile is going to go off as race 8. So you actually ridden him once before, and it was a long while ago, back in 2023. But have you been on him in the morning at all since?
Yeah, I work him multiple times in the morning. I never had the chance. Same thing, sometimes I was out of town, sometimes I was traveling somewhere else. Sometimes he chipped somewhere else, and I had, to stay somewhere else. But I got to be reunited with him today, and he looks very good today. I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
2 to
gonna
1
be
on the morning
tough.
line. No pressure.
Yes, yeah.
So when you haven't been on a horse on race day in a long while, how closely do you go back and look at the past performances, the replays?
Normally I'll put a probably will pull out the 3 of the last 4 races and just kind of see again, but I've been watching him run. So, I just go up very quick and kind of like watch the replay very quick just for a quick reminder. And, normally I know what to expect and what to do or what do I want to do with him this time.
And this is the 1 mile there at Parks. Do you already have your? And he's pretty dynamic. I mean, he's showing that he can go to the lead. He can rate. You're just
Yeah,
going to wait to see how it all shakes out of the gate.
yeah, he has tactical speed, but there's 2 horses there, and one coming from Sprinter that it looks like quite faster than him at the beginning.
Mhm.
So, best case scenario, we lay 3 or 4 right there, and he should be able to finish strong.
Very nice. And then, as I said before, in race 11, the Catherine Sophia, you've got Table Flirt. Now, this is a horse that you've ridden for all but one start. And she's coming in off a 4 1/4 length score in an off the turf optional 100, now stepping into stakes competition on dirt for the first time. She actually had been in the Appalachian at Keeneland on turf before. But again, this is the first time on dirt she's been in against stakes company. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, we just kind of trying to figure it out, where to go with her. We thought maybe to try the Alabama with her, and we thought like, we'll try something probably a little more easier with her just to see where we're standing with her. She keeps progressing and she keeps, running better and better. But like at first we thought she might was gonna be dirt, then she ended up running in the turf, and she broke her maiden in the turf, and like I said, me we still trying to figure it out where to get the best of her, and we're gonna give her a chance today on the dirt, and see where we're standing. The race is it's wide open, it's very competitive, a lot of good feelings in the race, and but like I said, that will give us a chance just to see where we're standing with her.
Yeah, it's that and her mom was a stakes winner on the dirt. She actually grade 3 winner sprinting, and Bill actually had her at one point in her career as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she had raced for him. She had raced for Cliff Sice. So yeah, it's when you travel. I mean, how long was the flight for you? It's not too far, right?
No, it was an hour fly. It was a quick fly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you just settle in, and do you get a chance to take a nap at all?
No, no, we because we took off at 10:30, so I slept all morning pretty well, and we get here, so I just probably gonna go to the hot box just a little bit, just to
Oh
kind
my
of
goodness.
warm up, and then get ready.
Oh, the regimen you guys have, unreal. Let's see. Oh, Jay, hello, Junior and Ren, and congratulations on all your success. I remember the days you rode at Arlington. Yeah, look at
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, yes.
And goes on to say that was your first Arlington Million, but you won the Beverly D before or Secretariat, right, Junior?
Yeah, I won the Beverly D. Actually, I won for Mr. Deutsche Soir in
Yeah.
Arlington. That was my first grade one that I ever ride, and that was my first grade one win.
Uh-huh.
And this was the first time I ever rode the Arlington Million too. So I'm like 1 for 1 in the Beverly D, 1 for 1 in the Arlington Million. I finished second in the Secretariat my first try 2 weeks ago, but
Oh,
it's
oh,
been
hey.
great.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've had an amazing, I mean, year altogether, but even just recently, Fort Washington in the Arlington Million. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. For me, it was like my personal, for me and my family. But my wife, she's from Chicago, and we always, that's where we met in Arlington. So I always want to have the Arlington Million in my box. Then
Oh,
just to being able to pull that off last 2 weeks ago. It was just amazing. It was a lot of emotions, and like I say, my wife and family, they were very thrilled.
oh, one of my favorite videos is when they were watching you win aboard Senor Buscador, and just going nuts. It was so good. And it's really heartening to see that family dynamic of them rooting for you and for obvious reasons, but just the thrill and the elation of it. Because winning a race like that with just a crazy big purse on top of it, it's just got to feel absolutely, I keep using the cliche word, but surreal. Just
Surreal. Yeah,
right.
that's the right thing. But yeah, actually, for me, it was the first time I ever see them cheer for me, because normally I'm riding the horse. I never get to see how they cheer for me. So,
Oh,
when I remember when I landed that day after Saudi, I got home
yeah.
and it's like, "Ah, we got a little gift for you." So I was not expecting that. And when I watched these videos, like I got to put this in
Oh
social
my
media and
gosh.
the social media, that was just like it like brought tears to my eyes. It was
I think
just
it
like amazing. So, yeah.
I think it brought tears to a lot of people's eyes. What was that experience like going over there for the Saudi Cup and all? Just, it's really, isn't it great that horses can bring the world together?
Yes, yes, that's one of the main things. Like we all get reunited there, and like I said, we get to compete in one race all together, and it just for me was one of the experience. I will treasure with me. I will never forget that one.
Did you have some good food while you were over there? We,
I did, I did, I did, I
I
did.
mean, I might be biased. My dad is from Iraq, so Middle Eastern food to me is the best cuisine. So,
It was great. It was great.
so going back about this month you've had, so not only the Arlington Million, you won the Mahoney Stakes with Spiced Up, you won the Saratoga Derby Invitational with World Beater, and we'll get back to sovereignty in a minute, going into the end of July with the Jim Dandy, but you're just in the zone. Do you personally feel that way, or is this like, nah, I'm just doing my job, it same as ever, I'm just It's coming out.
Yeah, as you know, I feel like, just the same thing. It's just like, I'm getting opportunities, and I just think things are just going right sometimes. Sometimes you don't do anything different. Just think just like go in your favorite, do it right or do it wrong. Just everything just go in your favor. And I think that's what's kind of happening right now. But it's been a lot of work, it's been, a
Yeah.
lot of work that I've been putting through the years. And I'm just been very blessed to have the opportunity that I'm getting right now with some owners and trainers put me in a lot of nice horses, so that definitely helps a lot.
Of course. Let's see. Oh, Jay. Oh, wait. Steph. So happy for Junior. Love him and Kelly. A little thought on Ragtime. Her mom is the sweetest and gets lots of mints when Raggy wins.
Ragtime, she's very nice fella. She
Yeah.
finished first time trying the estate company, a great one last time. She finished second,
Yep.
get nail in the wire, that one hurts, but she's a very nice filly. I haven't worked her, she worked like, I think it was 4 or 5 days ago. And I think we're pointing for, I think it's a race in Keeneland. I can't remember the name of the race. And it's a 7 furlong race. So, but
Oh,
we're very excited.
I know you're talking about, but I'm blanking right
Yeah,
now.
I
Right
cannot,
now, I'm all at
yes.
Saratoga. But
Right,
I know you're
exactly.
talking
Yeah.
about. But I love it, by the way. Steph, if you know Steph, she always puts her favorite horses in her handle. So she currently has Steph for Stradivarius, Justify, Carl for Carlos Spackler, Sierra for Sierra Leone. Poe is the one I always forget. She's added nitrogen. She's got Savi for Sovereignty, of course.
hmm
Gotta have him. Jay came back. Continue. Hope you stay healthy and sound. You and Joelle are the two strongest finishers. And yeah, I'll ask you about that in a second. He goes on to ask any 2-year-olds you are looking forward to, besides Stimulate, of course.
Noble Dynasty. He run first time out. I think it was 2 weeks ago too. Finished second, first time on the turf. I think very talented colt and the turf. So I'm very looking forward for his next race and see where he's gonna take us.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, these horses can develop by leaps and bounds, race to race. Now, this is a son of Kingman that you're talking about, also.
Yes.
And who isn't a fan of Kingman?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
And this is a homebred for Bezilu, also. So that's pretty
Yes.
cool, right?
Yes.
I'm just pulling up the chart here. This was on the 7th. If anybody wants to go check out the replay. But August 7th, it was race 2 there at Saratoga. Just was a half length short there in the end.
Yeah.
After
It
going
was.
wide, right?
Yeah. If I probably would have read it to win the race, not that I wrote to lose the race, but
No.
like, if I
You don't
like
want
I
to
say, like
push.
we don't want to push you. We want to do things just the right way for the horse to learn how to do it. And that's what we did. We fall short half a lane, but we teach him a good experience first time out.
And he wasn't getting much pace assistance up front either, yeah?
Yes, exactly. Pace was a little slow, but like I said, we were just focusing and teaching the right way.
Well, and that's interesting too. I've noticed, especially in New York, there's a lot of kind of walking the dog out there, like a little, game playing on the turf, specifically with the pace. Have you noticed that, or do we, as horse players, make too much of that?
It gets tricky sometimes. Just depends. I personally study sometimes too to see who's the speed, who's the jockey, and then we try to see who's the other one can challenge, who's the one that we know that even though have speed might don't challenge the speed. And and that's what I kind of, I try to put myself maybe a little closer if I know this. It could be 3 horses speed, but if I know the jockey that I'm gonna go after, I might try to put myself a little closer because now I know they're not gonna probably go as fast as I want to. You know, it happens sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's just fun. It's like you're waiting, like who's gonna go?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Oh my goodness. Jose Luis Iglesias says, "Good luck, my friend, in the Travers Stakes this Saturday. Sovereignty. See you in the Breeders' Cup, Junior. Un abrazo, hermano." I don't speak
Saludos.
Spanish, but something, my friend. Yeah. Good luck, my friend.
Yes, it's like, yeah, good luck, my friend, and a big hug, my brother.
Oh, that's very nice. Tamar says, "Did he win the Breeders' Cup Classic?" The answer to that is not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Exactly.
but you've been on some amazing horses in the Breeders' Cup, of course. Cody's Wish doubling up in the Dirt Mile.
Yep.
Gosh, Horse of the Year, Cody's
Yep.
Wish.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And you actually, going back to this Saturday's card, you've got a horse in the Forgo. We actually have several win in your ins at Saratoga this weekend. We have the Forgo for the Dirt Mile, the Ballerina for the PNC Bank Filly and Mare Sprint. We've got the Personal Ensign for the Longines Distaff. And so, oh, you know what? That's actually, well, I'll just make a quick mention. Personal Ensign's my all-time favorite female racehorse. Just putting that out there for y'all. But that's the one race you don't have a mount in the win in your ends, correct?
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't have any.
So we're not
in
going to
that
focus
race.
on that.
Right.
Even though this is a 2-year-old show, we got to talk about winning your in. So let's talk about the Grade 1 Ballerina Stakes, 7 furlongs. And in this race, you've got Zeitlos. She's in post 6 for Steve Asmussen. And she's coming off, interestingly enough, a half-length defeat on the turf in the Grade 3 Caress. But of course, her dirt record is solid. So how's she doing?
Yeah, I don't, really work much for Steve's music, but the filly seems like she has good number in the dirt. Last time it was a good race in the turf. Um, we'll see. We got to see what she's gonna do. Is I feel like she's gonna come off the pace, so hopefully, there's a hot pace in the race that will help me a little bit to come flying at the end, though.
Hey, that's what you got to hope for, right? And it is interesting. There have been, granted, turf again, but there have been 2 next out winners from the Caress. The winner herself, Future, is now put up a 98 Beyer figure, scoring the Smart and Fancy there at Saratoga. And then even the last place finisher, Obstreperous, came back to score by 6 1/4 lengths in an optional 75 N2X for Jose D'Angelo. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's looking live there.
Yes.
And so then you also have, let me pull this up, in the Forgo. And who's not a fan of Forgo, y'all? What a racehorse he was, right? In the Forgo, you're going to be going up against Bookham Dano. But that being said, you've got a very nice horse in Scotland coming off a Shodo finish, beating just a length off the layoff, and a long layoff at that. For Bill Mott and LNJ. He's in post 8. He's 12-1. Can't get no respect.
Yeah, it's okay. Like I said, those are those kind of horses like that I like to ride, where you kind of like the underdog. Is a big horse in the race where everybody's kind of keeping the eye on it. So I'm kind of like, we'll sit right behind the speed, kind of like, and try to see if I can sneak my way all the way to the winner circle.
Well, you gotta love that. And let's see here. Now we're going to talk about a race that's not a winning your in, and this is probably the horse you all want to hear about. And I completely understand why. Let's talk about Sovereignty. First of all, can you talk about the relationship with this horse from the beginning?
It's, I think just amazing. That's how I call it. I think you just click, and look, that goes back to when you start working with the horses from day one when they're a baby, and they start working 3A, half a mile. You start getting to understand what they are like, what they don't like, and what they want to do, what they don't want to do, and all those little things. And I familiarize with them a lot, and like I said, I get to understand all that. I don't, like I said, I don't push the buttons that I know they don't like it, so I just, stay off their way. And I just think that that's being one of those key with this guy, very, very smart horse. He's very funny in the stall. I always like to joke around, kind of stop every day just to see him and joke around with him. But it's, at the same time, when you see him in race time, he's a whole different horse. His focus, he doesn't even look at me. He's like 100%, ready to do his business. And I love that out of him. He knows when it's race time and he don't play it.
And he's so aptly named, and not only with all the talent, but I love Son into Mischief, his mom crowned by Bernardini. It's just fitting from that perspective. When he debuted, again, we've discussed already, Bill Mott is not concerned about having to have a horse win first out. On debut, he was fourth. He was beating 3 1/4 lengths, but he was coming closing. He debuted actually at Saratoga going just 6 furlongs. Then at Belmont at the Big A, beaten just a neck, stretched the mile. And then we saw him take the Street Sense by 5. And that was a day that like he just had this bad break and he just came closing like, again, another cliche, freight train. And that was the race that caught my eye, that this was a horse who was supremely talented because he was not getting any pace assistance up front. And he still came like a rocket. When did it click for you that, oh, this horse is special? Was it from the beginning before he even debuted, or was it a race like that?
You know, we did like him before he runs. You know, I think probably Billy likes like him more than I did. You know, I like to still run the horse. He needs to show it to me. You know, he just, for me, he just doesn't gonna do it just sometime in the morning. He needs to, like I said, translate that in the afternoon. First time out, he run great, but then the second time out, we're stretching out. Even though the first race was amazing, the way he was closing, then you go to a mile, sometimes some horses don't show that closing. And you know, he finished second that day with me and Aqueduct. And I remember, like I said, after the race, I'm on my way home, I called Bill and I told Bill, I think like out of all the 2-year-old that I've been riding for you for so many years, I think this is the best one I ever rode. So it's like I really love these horses, and it's like I don't know what to think of him. And like I'm very, very impressed by him. That race was great. We didn't win, but it was an amazing race. And then Galopao, like he didn't Galopao just strong. He kept running after the wire like a good horse. So I was very happy with him. And you know, which put me a little bit of a pressure because and then the next time out he put him in a stake and I'm thinking, what did I do? I was like, I hope he doesn't all dies all because I say all that now. He's put him in the stake right now because he doesn't do that either. He's not that kind of trainer. He will do something like that. But you know, I guess he's the confidence that we have in each other, the trust that we have in each other, and the trust that we have in the horse, knowing that he had the ability and you know, when he won the race in Churchill, you know, it was more like like not a surprise, but it was more like, okay, you know, we kind of knew this could happen, but eventually seeing it doing it like the way he did, you know, we kind of were like, well, we were kind of right along all along with him. So, and then after that, you know, it just been history.
Ah, so great. And I was looking forward to him making that 3-year-old debut. And we were doing one of the ABR shows for the Fountain of Youth. And I have to give a selection. And based upon that performance in the Street Sense, there was no doubt that Sovereignty was going to be my pick. And I mean, he didn't go off as the favorite. It's not like he was a big price. So I can't pat myself on the back too much. Other people saw what I did as well. But boy, was that a stunner of a performance.
Yeah, same thing. You know, it was an amazing race. We were hoping to like I say, collect some points, like probably finishing second or third was gonna be great. A horse who has never he was probably like 70%, you know. We had to make that race because we were kind of falling a little bit behind in the prep races. You know, he had a couple hiccups before he was getting ready. So, you know, a couple sets back, you know, then we kind of felt like we're, you know, a little behind everybody else. So, you know, that day I remember we just tried to finish second or third, you know, make him finish and pick some point for the Derby, and then for the Florida Derby we'll pick some more and then head to the Derby. But like I said, he was just that good that day too. That he ended up, like I said, picking all the points that day.
Oh, so great. I know. And obviously that took the pressure off because you were injured after that, unfortunately. So that is why you were not aboard for the Florida Derby. And we love Manny Franco. We do. But that's his only defeat as a 3-year-old is there in the Florida Derby. And am I right or am I wrong? Is part of that because they went into this race knowing he was already in the Derby. If you can win, great. If you feel like you really would have to push him, don't bother. Let's save something in the tank. What was the idea? Do
I
you think?
I think that was the plan all along. Like I said, like we were trying to collect some points in the point of view. We ended up getting enough to be already in the Derby. So I think Billy's is at that point. There's just a 3 week gap from the Fountain of Youth till the Florida Derby. So I didn't feel like he didn't have to do anything else. He figured like, well, we just keep in training normal, lie, and with his talent, he will finish 1, 2, 3 again. He'll collect more point, and then we'll be able to tie the screw heading into the Kentucky Derby, and that's what happened. Like you know, I called maybe a little unluck for Manny Franco that day. Run against a good horse like Tapping
Fan
Street,
Street, yeah.
and like I say, still it was not like Sovereignty run a bad race. Still run a good race, but once again, like I think that was never the track we were planning to run him, because that's a track that we never felt like it would suit him. We always
It's
thought
got a
about.
shorter stretch, right?
Exactly. So we always thought, like when after we won the Street Sense, we thought like, well, we're gonna probably point with him either to Fairground or either to Oakland, where they have like a long stretch turning for home, and but like I said, for little things that happen here and there, we had ended up being and running in those races in Florida.
Well, that again, going back to the length of stretch at Gulfstream Park, is part of the reason why I had to have Sovereignty as my Kentucky Derby pick, because not only do we see this turn of foot, and usually, and now he's dispelled that he's one-dimensional. I mean, obviously we know that he can stay closer to a pace at this point, but before, you're thinking closers in the Derby. Well, to be a successful closer in the Derby, you have to have grit, you have to have heart, you have to have tenacity, and he has showed all of that, because you've got this giant field and you're dependent on whatever the heck is happening in front of you with this giant, cavalry charge, right? But he had shown the grit and tenacity, and he'd shown the ability to close even over a short stretch. So I was telling everybody, I'm very thankful I've had the privilege of doing some events for the Kentucky Derby, hosting jockey Q&A sessions. I also got to host Taste of the Derby with celebrity chefs this past year, which was amazing. Do you watch Food Network at all?
I do.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So you may know some of these chefs. So we have, chefs from Food Network, and one of them was Manit Chauhan, the dancing spice queen.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love her. If you've all watched Chopped, or if you've watched Tournament of Champions, she's a 2-time champion on that show. She's got the belt to prove it, which I actually have seen on display, because she has in her Nashville restaurant, Chauhan Ale and Masala House, she's got the belt on display. And yeah, it's awesome. So she was one of the guest chefs. And I figure, these chefs are putting together their menus. They don't have time to handicap the Kentucky Derby. So I went into the event coming prepared to assign a Kentucky Derby horse to each chef. And I did it based on, trying to pull something from their name or their restaurants and tie it into a horse. So with Manit being the dancing spice queen, I thought it only fitting that she gets Sovereignty.
Wow.
And I told her that Sovereignty was actually my selection too. So, and I told the whole crowd, actually, I'd gotten on the stage. And so when he won, I took a screenshot of you on the horse and I sent it to her. And she got a kick out of that.
How neat. Yeah.
Isn't it? You want to do a shout out to Manit?
Shout out. I mean, I always watch her. I'm like I say, I don't get to eat much because our sport limited the way that we eat, but I do love to watch Food Network show, of course. And big fan, a big fan.
And who she is on TV was who she was in person. So that's
even
was awesome.
More amazing, absolutely.
And not to get you jealous, but I gotta tell you, so her dish, have you ever had a walking taco before?
No.
Okay, so it'll sound crazy to you. So going to school, they used to serve these things called a walking taco. And what they would do is take the little school pack of Fritos, and they would dump like ground meat or chili con carne on top with some sour cream and shredded cheese. And then you just eat it with a spoon walking around. She did a fancy version of a walking taco. It was unbelievable.
I believe you.
So good. Are you going to be riding at Kentucky Downs at all?
I think I'm booked for 3 days as of right now. Of the, I don't can remember if it was 7 day of racing there. So, but I'm booked for 3 days for sure. So yes,
You should head to Nashville to her restaurant. It's not
most
far. It's a half-hour
uh,
drive.
I'm pretty sure I'll be heading that way after racing.
We can figure something out that's jockey appropriate. But
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
so going back to Sovereignty, winning the Kentucky Derby, I have the replay. Take us through this race, if you will, because I would love to hear it from your perspective.
First of all, we break, and then the horse next to me kind of crossed a little in front of me. My horse clips heels. I was like, gosh, I hope he didn't lose his shoe in
Ugh,
this condition. You
yeah.
need a horse with a good grip and the conditions like how they were that day. So, that kind of thing went kind of quick in my mind. And, I just like, well, let me just let him travel, let me find his rhythm. I already took up, clips heels early. So let me just try to save ground. That was kind of like our main goal. You can go in such a big long race, wide both turns. So, once I got to say ground the first turn, I was like, well, miss first part of the race, mission accomplished. We got to say ground. um like I said, I'm kind of like by myself, nobody's around me, nobody's pushing me on the outside or anything like that. I get to see what's happening in front. And right there when we turning in by the 3/4 pole, I was very lucky to kind of spot where Baeza was. Then I look a little bit more ahead, and I can see journalism. So it's like, well, they're right there. They're in contention. I can see where they at. Like those are the two horses that I probably gonna track. If they have something, those are the horses to follow. And yeah, and they have right there a little before the half a mile pole, journalism start to picking it up, and here I go right behind him. Like I said, like let me just keep in cover, keeping right behind me, and I'm gonna move all the way until we turn for home. And right there we're about to turn for home, down getting him little by little in the clear. Start asking him my horse for a run, and right there when we turn for home, I mean that's when I asked him to go right after him. And I mean, he was just amazing. Amazing. I could feel it. I think right when we passed that part right there, close to the 8 pole, like everything starts slowing down on me. You see those things happening and the dream, and but eventually kind of like slow down way too much because I've never felt like getting to the wire. And when I cross the wire, you just like I mean, this is something. I mean, I still have can I don't I haven't found the right word to describe the feeling of winning the Derby.
Oh my gosh. I can imagine. And taking it back to that stretch run, knowing that journalism was favored, when you came up alongside of him, did you know that you were going to blow by, or did you feel like, okay, we're about to hook up, it's game on?
Yeah, I figured, I know I felt like I was gonna go by, but I wasn't gonna, you know, like I said, I want to just to make because I feel like he's still gonna put a fight. I mean, he's a good horse. He's been shown he's a good horse. He myself is gonna put a good fight. But once again, like I felt my horse just like every one strike of him. I mean, every two strike of him was one strike of mine. So I'm just like, I'm going by this horse. And like I said, once I got to the front, I knew it was like I was only beating three horses behind, and they are not coming. I'm the only one coming with the most powerful kick at the end. So like I say, I knew it was just me and Sovereignty winning the Derby.
And the feeling that came over you as you're describing before, take us through when it just finally sunk in.
Yes, it's crazy because it's such a short time from the time you pass the wire until you hit the, let's say, the middle of the turn again. And it's just so many things come into your mind. You like, I started like thinking like, where my family watching me when I just went? Where is my mom? Where is my mom and my dad thinking? Then I start thinking like, wow, remember when I was in Venezuela? It was the only race that we could watch, and I always dream of riding it. I never really have the dream of winning it. I'm just like, I would love just to be in the race so people can see me that I was in the Derby. It wasn't even a dream to me winning. And to be honest, I thought that was almost like an impossible thing back then. But it's like I say, we just it's so many emotions. It comes all in once, rushing so fast that's what I said. I mean, you just can't really describe the feeling you get when you win the derby. It's something unique.
And you already have to do that post-win interview on horseback walking back. How do you collect your thoughts?
So if I have to remember what did I say, I have no idea. I have to just rewatch it and I was just hoping I didn't say nothing stupid because,
No.
like I say, we just all emotion and like I say, I'm saying things without thinking, just with more of what I was feeling in the moment, and I was just like, I hope I didn't embarrass myself.
What about when you got back to your family and to Bill?
Wow, that was then another explosion emotion, just to see my family's face. I wanted to see their expression, like we won the derby. I wanted to see what it looks like, and same thing when I saw Bill and I saw Riley was there, just to
Yeah.
shook their hands and high five, give the hug. As- Like I said, I mean, I wish this everybody can experience this, because this is something, like I said, like it is not any other race you can get this feeling.
How cool is it for your kids, by the way? They get to go to school and say, "My dad won the Kentucky Derby."
Yeah, that was even more fun because then that was a Saturday, then Sunday we flew back, then Monday morning we woke up and I never seen my three kids so excited to go to school. Like they probably knew that they were gonna be, people were gonna talk about it, they're gonna congratulate them, and they all were so excited. Same thing when they got back that day, Monday, after they will like their faces all, all excited, all happy, just telling the story about how everybody, all their friends saw them on TV, how they are famous now. And my little son, 6 year old, is like, everybody say that I'm famous. Then he asked me like, what is famous, dad? And then I start explaining to him. But
Aw.
it's all that comes with winning the derby. It's so amazing.
Did they have you come to class at all?
I did. I did went to yeah, all my three kids, for my 6 year old and my 10 year old. I went there and kind of speak a little bit about my job or what do I do. I got to bring some goggles and teaching what I do with the goggles and give the goggles away to them. It just, like I say, just the experience there is something I wish every jockey get to experience.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bill, who's usually very reserved emotionally, right? Uh, I saw him. He probably didn't even realize it was me. He was just so happy. I'm like, congratulations, Bill, and big hug going into the press conference, and he gave you so much love. I was standing right there, and just the love for the team. And Michael Banahan, he's so great from Godolphin. The appreciation and the humbleness that came out of that press conference with the review of the race and just being happy to be there was really nice to see.
Yes, which is something, like I said, we've been working for so many years, and it took up a great horse like Sovereignty to get all done, but it's just like it was the right people. They've been putting a lot of work for it. Godolphin, they put a lot into our sport, and all the things they do, and all the sport that I personally myself been having with them, riding so many good horses with them, and the success we had. And like I said, what Bill said before, you want to go to the dance with the girls being with you this whole time. So it was just amazing to have the win with Mr. Mod and
Yeah,
the Godolphin team. Just like I said, I mean, I couldn't write that, like
I
that.
know.
Just a perfect, perfect, perfect story.
Especially coming off, that really put in the spotlight focus on Cody's wish with the same team.
Absolutely.
It's just chills, right?
Yep.
Kyle Clark says, Junior, my wife and I met you over Belmont Stakes weekend. Thank you for making our anniversary extra special this year with the Kentucky Derby win. Good luck this weekend. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Katie. Hey, Junior. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
Hello. Tamar, Junior, your base is so large in Jamaica. Can you come to Jamaica sometime in the not so long future and ride in the Mutet Mile? We admire your riding skills so much.
I've been invited a couple times, just time wise, kind of, I think it goes with I think that's around the time the cigar mile is. So, but,
Oh.
I'm hoping, that is the day where eventually everything will come together and I might be able to do that.
How
I
many
would love
countries have
to.
you ridden in?
Not many. I've been, my country, Venezuela. I've been here in the state, Canada, and Dubai and Saudi Arabia. Those are
Do you
the,
have
the only
any
one.
hopes of ever riding, for example, at Ascot, or we've got the York going on with some winning your ins with the Juddmonte International and such this weekend as well.
Yeah, I get, of course, the ASCAT is a very privileged race to really go there and just so I can have the experience to bring my wife and
Yeah.
dress like
Oh, the top
amazing there.
hats. Yeah.
Exactly, yes, and definitely I think it's if I'm not mistaken is in Hong Kong, which is like a
Oh,
big
yeah.
track there. Is another track that I would love to go there and have the experience. We'll try to see. I know they have like I think it's a jockey challenge or something like that in
Yes.
November. We'll
Well,
we'll
they got
we'll
to
see.
invite you for that. Come on.
Yeah, we'll hope for an invite. Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about your jacket there, the 151 Kentucky Derby. Is this a special? You better have a specialized, like personalized.
No, no, this is the
No,
one that was for sale that
what?
date, and
You,
and 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 I just want it like this. I don't want to change it. I just want to just how it
okay, just
was
like that.
that
But what
day.
if you get an
Yes.
extra one that actually does say Junior Alvarado winning jockey?
Actually, yeah, I have so many like things that I bought that day after I won the derby. Then I start buying sweater and things and giving a lot of things away. But it's a good idea. Yeah, it hasn't even actually, crossed my mind.
Did they at least give you a discount?
They did. They did. Yeah, they did. They did. They did.
All right, so let's talk. Let's move now to the Belmont. And I do have to ask you, I would be remiss if I didn't. The fact that he did skip the Preakness, does it ever come across your mind of, oh, this could be a Triple Crown winner or not because of the asterisks that would have to be put there given the fact that the Belmont was run at 1.25 miles at Saratoga as opposed to the 1.5 miles at Belmont, anyway.
Like people ask me, like, have you think he would have won the Preakness? Yes, I think he's a time horse. I mean, the horse that won the Preakness was journalism, and he already, beaten twice. But uh, I never felt, do I want a triple crown? Yeah, I would love for to have a triple crown. Be the jockey of a triple crown. But it has never bothered me. No, not at all, because I think we were so focused and winning the Derby and just have that accomplished. I think for me that was it. And just knowing too the way that Billy Moore like to work with his horses and the way he take care of the horses, I know the chances of him going into the Preakness were very slim, and like I said, man, he did what he needed to do, what was best for the horse, and then he took a lot of heat and like criticism for it, but like I said, at the end of the day, we try to extend the career on a good horse and try to keep him sound as we can for a 3-year-old campaign and a 4-year-old campaign.
Yeah, it's easy for everybody watching from afar to say, I would do this or I would do that. You have to do, as you said, the way, uh, play it out the way that you feel you have to when it is your horse. But yeah, he did not let you down in the Belmont Stakes. Did you think that the rivalry being made of him with journalism was something to, I mean, journalism's a great horse. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock journalism in any way, but you beat him by 3 there in the Belmont.
Yes, like I was not gonna call it upset. I was a little kind of like, but why is this like? It was the making him like he was just much better than my horse. I was like, well, we run one time together, we beat him. Like, what does it make him much better than my horse? That was before the Belmont, and he ended up beating journalism, like I said, in Belmont, and like I said, I think I gained a lot of respect just because they run the horse the 3 races of the Triple Crown. It's like I say, easy to say than really have it done. And he run all the 3 races, second, first, and second.
Mhm.
Like amazing. So
Yes.
it was just, you know, uh, it was, I guess, we were the best horses both days that we beat him, and we'll see. But it's I think it's just great to have that rivalry too
Oh
between
yeah.
those two good horses. Something always you're gonna be looking forward every time they have to run against each other.
And as you said, much respected journalism, running in the Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, and then he wins the Haskell Stakes. So a very worthy horse of respect. But it was in the Belmont, and I think a lot of people are going, "Oh, well, maybe he got the better of him in the Derby because of the sloppy track." But we all knew that Sovereignty's kick was. Do you think it moved him up in any way? Do you think he's the same? I mean, his dirt form is exceptional. So.
No, I think he's just being as good as probably a little better than when he was in the Derby.
Yeah.
He shows then
Different
that's what I'm saying.
dimension.
Yes, exactly. He shows some tactical speed last time and the Belmont and now in the Gym Dandy then, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think now if he keep showing that tactical speed, it makes him even more dangerous
Oh, yeah.
because he just doesn't have too much to do. He doesn't have to depend on any kind of pace. He will put himself right up there and he still have that nice strong kick though. So it just
In
makes him more dangerous.
In the Belmont, did you know that he could do that? Or were you like, let's try it out because we're going to have to, given how this is going to shape up?
No, I wasn't gonna change anything. He likes to do what he likes to do it and the way he likes to do it, and I wasn't gonna get in his way. He's a horse that always says, like when we're in the middle of the race, maybe sometime by the 5 pole before the half mile pole, is a horse who will be traveling fine, and all of a sudden you can feel he's like picks up the bridle and like that's the way of him, saying like I'm ready. So whenever you're ready, I'm ready. So then after that, I kind of guide him, but I wasn't gonna change anything. But he was the one who did that on his own, and I was very pleased to be like that. I was like, well, I love to be here. I don't want to be too far back anyway. So I took the ride from a very close pace that day.
And he doesn't seem to get tired. He's had a lot of trips where unfortunately he's gotten sent wide. And he just doesn't, once he hits his stride, his cruising speed is so impressive.
It is, he just keep coming at you, and he keep getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And like I said, he's just an amazing horse.
I love it. And so a lot of people, okay, so as with the Gym Dandy, we have the same scenario here with the Travers Stakes. It's a 5-horse field, so you have to beat 4 horses. A lot of times people are like, oh, great, you don't have as many competitors. But the concern then is pace dynamics when you don't have a nice full field to shake out. We've got Magnitude in here. Again, Sovereignty coming in off that Gym Dandy win over Baeza. A length score there over a fast track at Saratoga at the 1.125 miles. So now we're stretching back out to the classic distance of 1.25 miles for the Midsummer Derby here in the Travers. Magnitude, based on the figures, obviously looks to be the main competition. He's got the rail and he's got speed. So how are you looking at this race? And who we got? Hey.
I think once again, going to 1.25 miles, I think it will be in my advantage. I think that's right what my horse loves to do. He just keeps going. That 1.25 miles, he just suit him perfectly. But yes, and I'd rather a field of 8, 9, maybe 10 horse than a 5-horse field. It's more tricky. It's always more tricky. People buy, like I say, when you look at on paper, if you're not a jockey, people will say, well, it should be it should be easier. No, it is not easier. I think it gets more tricky because now you can see where everybody is. Now where to see with an 18 horse field, you get to be whatever you are. If it's a horse in front, he doesn't know where the other ones are. When a 5-horse field, you know what everybody is. You break out of there, you take a pick real quick, and you know what everybody is saddling. And there is less horses, I say, they can put pressure on the lead. Since my horse is not a speed horse, but once again, like I think just having the tactical speed that we have right now, it put me in advantage to be closer to the pace. I know Magnitude is the horse that look like with the more speed in the race. There is another horse that it looks like he has some speed. I don't know how much speed he's gonna show in the Travers. But once again, I get a beautiful post on the outside, so I'm gonna get out of there. Hopefully, if he comes running like he did in the Gym Dandy, the first part of the race, I'll come down and I will put pressure just to make sure we coming into the first turn, we heading into with a good pace. I'm not gonna let anyone walk the dog.
No, I mean, and McAfee on the outside, he's got some early speed. This is Torpedo Anna's half brother, McAfee. It is interesting with Bracket Buster, the 2-horse. He's got early speed for
Yes.
BBN and Vicky Oliver. And then Strategic Focus, interesting, going blinkers on for Chad Brown. So I wonder if that might get him a bit sharper out of the gate too. So maybe, obviously Magnitude's very fast. Have there been times when you've seen where, okay, it looks like this horse is dominant speed, but it ends up being more contested than you anticipated?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Sometimes even when you see too much speed in the race, you break out of the gate, and all of a sudden it's just only one horse. And you say, well, what are the other speeds we're supposed to win the race? And the horse ended up winning wire to wire in a race that looked like loaded of speed. But yeah, I just think, like I say, like I'm in a good spot position in the outside. So like I said, I get out of there running, gonna go forward, and I will get to see what of those other two horses, that have speed we're gonna do. If they're gonna put pressure away, if they're gonna go forward. Just thinking, this race, only 5 horse fields, I could, in my head, I'll think like, many owners might say, like, well, just, I don't want you to go there and kill yourself. Make sure that third is good, second is good. Just try to thinking that my horse is unbeatable, and they ride their horse very conservative. And I don't want to, like I said, then fall into that. I got to make sure I'll go forward and put the pace that I feel like I'm comfortable with my horse.
Have you, not to skip too far ahead, but have you seen, we do these Breeders' Cup rankings. So there are a bunch of people within the industry who every week we put together, I'm one of them, but there are a bunch of us who put together our rankings for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I think we've done it, I think this is going into week 3 or 4, but Sovereignty has topped the list every week. And for full transparency, I voted Sovereignty on top myself, taking on the older horses in the Classic. What do you make of that division, the handicap division? Obviously, we're going to be seeing, provided everything goes smoothly, Sierra Leone try to defend his title there in the Classic. How do you think your horse as a 3-year-old measures up?
Friend, I just think, the way he's been running, and, with that little tactical speed he's been showing now, I think, going into the Breeders' Cup Classic State Sound, he's going to be very tough to beat. I just think he got the upper hands over the closers, because he's going to be a little closer, and he still has, I will have to say, at least the same kind of kick at the end. But me being close to the pace, is always an advantage, and especially in a track like California, who carries a little bit of speed. And and I've been watching all those division of the older horses, grade 1 and grade 2 races, and I've been happy the way every horse have won the race, because none of those horses have been like extremely impressive. What I can say, wow, I might be in trouble with that horse heading into the Classic. They all have been good horses winning races, but nobody have been like super impressive to scare me.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll ask you this just to wrap things up. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's watching. We have almost 1,000 people watching us live right now, which is crazy because it's only 1:35 in the afternoon on a work day.
Right.
So you're a draw, Junior, and you'll see these numbers go up on the replay as well. So rank him if you don't mind, in terms of where he fits in the horses you've ridden, and what it is that you think in particular, what it is, the quality that he has that makes him so special. What is, in terms of whether it's the mentality, the mechanics, what do you count for that closing kick he has, that cruising speed he has? Because it really is exceptional. Again, he never looks like he gets tired.
Yeah, he's, like I said, both, those times he has run the mile and a quarter, I think that's when I felt even the most comfortable with him. And like I say, he just get into that. He has a good cruising speed where he's going, like I say, he's not going slow. He's not going as fast as he can, but he's going in a decent pace. And then he still could pick it up from the half a mile all the way to the wire and keep getting faster and faster and faster. I remember the Belmont, if you see the fractions, like they were like almost like 12, 12, 12, then 11, 11, 11, 11 and change, 11 change, 11 and change at the end. Like, like for a mile and a quarter, pretty hard to do. And like I say, it's not like we were going slow. Like he's just that good, and he just keep getting faster the longer they go.
For those who are kind of new to racing who might be watching this, can you explain just how rare that is for a horse to go faster the
Well,
longer they're going.
it's rare that it takes a horse like Sovereignty to do that, you know. And there is, like I said, I've been in my career, I've ridden many great ones, and I have to, like I said, if I have to ranking, that's probably one of the best 3-year-old I ever rode, if it's not the best for sure.
Wow.
He's just exceptional, and he's just fast and strong.
Oh my gosh. Well, you've been so generous with your time. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say? Anything that wasn't asked that you're like, oh man, we should have brought this up?
No, I think you cover all the bases. It was great. All good questions.
Well, I try. I do try. And I'm happy that you'll be at Kentucky Downs also. Hopefully, we'll see you there. I'm very sad that I'm not going to be in attendance at the Travers, but I am just rooting for you all the way. Complete transparency. I'm an abashed Sovereignty Junior Alvarado fan. So.
Thank you.
So I hope you have safe, sound trips on all your horses, including tonight. And again, thank you so much for your time, Junior.
No, thanks so much again, Ren, for having me. And like I said, it's always a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody, this has been your Future Stars forecast on a 2-year-old Tuesday, but we got to talk about a champion 3-year-old because we already know he's got that lockdown. Talking with Junior Alvarado. I hope you enjoyed. I sure did. And I will check you back here next week.